subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said that, Ya Bani Adam, khudu zinatakum inda kulli masjid. That, the sons, the progeny of Adam, make sure that you adorn yourselves when going to the masjid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this gives us the understanding that as Muslims, we are meant to adorn ourselves when we're coming to the places of worship, to the houses of worship. And now many a times when we're coming to the masjid, we usually wear whatever we're wearing in the homes, and that's how we sometimes end up coming to the masjid. But here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us to adorn ourselves and to beautify ourselves when coming to the masjid. And at the same time, another aspect was addressed where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا وَلَا تُسْرِفُوا, that do not indulge in israf. So a question is generally asked that how much should we be adorning ourselves? Right? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said that ilbasu min thiyabikum al-biyad fa innaha min khayri thiyabikum, that wear white clothing. Right? It is the best form of clothing. It looks clean. The appearance seems to be clean, and at the same time, you don't have to spend too much. And it's the same type of clothing that we wear when we usually give it to the mayyit, to the dead body, as a kafan, because he is headed to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So from here we understand that we're meant to adorn ourselves for every occasion. And it is said first impression is the last impression, and the moment someone sees you, his eyes, they fall on you, that is the impression that they usually take away. Says Abdul Fattah Habibullah rahimahullah, he says, if you're traveling to visit someone, or if you are about to receive guests, whether those in question are your parents, relatives, peers, or friends of a different age, make sure that your hands, feet, and socks are clean, and your appearance and clothing are neat. Also ensure that your attire befits the occasion and the one you're meeting. Normally even when we're meeting someone of a low caliber, we make sure that we look presentable, right? If we're going to someone's house, someone who's invited us over, we make sure that we're clean, we look nice. And the same thing should be applied when coming to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during our salah. The hadith specifically states that قَسَّمْتُ الصَّلَاةَ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَ عَبْدِي نِصْفَيْنِ, that I have distributed salah half and half between me and my slave. So it is a sort of a communion with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during salah. So we should look clean for that occasion. So the attire should be the one that befits the occasion, and also the type of the person that you're meeting, because cleanliness and appearance which is orderly and harmonious brings pleasure to the eye. Many a times you meet someone who is wearing something which may be aesthetically pleasing, and that is also pleasing to the eye. And if you're meeting that person for the same time, that is the kind of impression that you take away, that you take home. Just imagine for a second if you came across someone whose topi was a little crooked or to the side. And if that's something which is permanent, that leaves that sort of impression on your mind as well. And it's something which, gives you the type of impression that this person is not neat in his appearance. So at least a type of appearance that which we face people with, that type of appearance should be neat and organized. In this regard, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam directed his companions, upon returning from a journey, you are on your way to meet your brothers. Don a good dress and repair your conveyance so that you appear distinct amongst the people as a beauty spot on a body. Normally if someone has a beauty spot on their face, that's the first thing that you notice about someone. Similarly, the type of clothing that you're wearing, the color that you're wearing, your appearance, if it's neat or not, that is the first thing that normally people notice about you. And one of the things that we should also keep in mind is making sure that the hair of the head and the beard are groomed. We learn from the practice of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that sometimes he kept long hair. And whenever he kept long hair, his hair were always oiled and well groomed. They were not all over the place. So this is something, a lot of people, they do have the passion of following the sunnah of the long hair, but that's something that we need to realize, that whenever Rasulullah had long hair, those long hair, they look neat, and they were always well oiled and combed. So that's something that we should be mindful of. Also at the same time, some of the Sahaba, they consistently remain bald. It is mentioned about Ali radiallahu anh, that he would always remain bald out of fear that during the condition of janaba, when you're supposed to make sure that the water reaches the roots of all of your hairs. So he would be extremely careful about that. So both types are sunnahs, to keep long hair or even short hair. The action of sunnah can be applied to both. So it is mentioned that Rasulullah said that whenever they would be returning from a journey, that don a good dress and repair your conveyance so that you appear distinct amongst the people as a beauty spot on a body. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not like indecency in manner and in conduct. Try to offer a gift to your host and likewise present your guests with a present in exchange of theirs, because the exchanging of gifts on joyous occasion adds to its delight. You know, many a times when we visit the house of someone and you take something with you, whatever you take with you increases in the love that you have. It increases in the bond that you have with each other. And a lot of times people, what they try to do is that they immediately try to give a gift in exchange, right? And that is something which can also be done, but it is also possible for us to wait a little bit so that the person does not feel as if you're trying to give him something in lieu of what he had already given to you, right? Because it's not something, it's not a competition, right? Exchanging gifts and hadaya was the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it's not important that you immediately start giving him another type of gift. It sometimes happens that you show up to someone's house with some food or something, and then that person, out of some kind of feeling of obligation, he immediately goes inside and tries to give you something. I remember this happened to me multiple times in my childhood. Whenever I would go with some iftar to someone's house, that brother would be extremely obliged, and then he would tell me to wait. And sometimes I had to wait 20 minutes, half an hour, just so that he can quickly go in. And then I could hear him also arguing with his wife, because he would go and burden her, and she would get mad that why do you want me to hurry up with this? So we don't have to be we are not under any obligation to immediately give back whatever he gave to us. It's okay to wait a little bit and then return the favor. And that type of mentality is not there in Islam, where you're trying to return a favor. That would be a wrong thing to say. It's that the sunnah to exchange hadaya is the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then lastly, he mentions that our pious predecessors used to leave their host with a gift, even if it was something as simple as a miswak. And there's a lot of lessons to take from here, that many a times we feel burdened that, how can I show up to someone's house with something simple, right? And then we try to go to great lengths. We spend a lot of money in trying to please that person. Remember, you're trying to attain the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through pleasing one of the slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Al-khalqu iyalullah, فَأَحَبُّ الْخَلْقِ إِلَى اللَّهِ أَحْسَنُهُمْ لِعِيَالِهِ. That the creation is the family of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the most beloved in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who pleases the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, إِدْخَالُ السُّرُورِ فِي قَلْبِ الْمُسْلِمِ صَدَقَةٌ, that, bringing joy and happiness to the heart of a believer, to the heart of a Muslim, is also a form of sadaqah. And that's something. And even if you're unable to gift them with anything, you can just smile in the face of a brother Muslim. It's mentioned, ibtisamatuka ala wajhi akhika sadaqatun, that your smile on the face of your brother is also a form of sadaqah. So our deen is the best form of moderation. La ifrata wa la tafrit. There is no extremism, there is no excessiveness, according to whatever you're comfortable with. It is mentioned that when Rasulullah mentioned the hadith of Sawm, that whoever helps a fasting person with iftar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives all of his sins. So the Sahaba were concerned because it was a time of poverty, and many of them did not have anything to eat themselves. So Rasulullah told them, even if it is with some water, right? Iftar with some water. So there's simplicity in everything. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us a tawfiq. And most importantly is to adorn ourselves when coming to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just like we go out to other people's houses and we adorn ourselves, similarly when we come to the house of Allah, we should adorn ourselves as much as we can. The best form of clothing, right? Wear your best thobe or your best jubbah. Make sure that you're presentable. Your hands and feet, everything's washed. Many a times we are in a state of wudu already, so we rush to the masjid, right? But make sure that your appearance is neat. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us a tawfiq to prioritize the right things, inshallah. Wa akhiru da'wana anna alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.